Hello and welcome to another episode of Get the Gist podcast. I'm very thrilled to introduce our guest today, Colleen Joyce, CEO at lawyer.com and the creator of LinkedIn newsletter Last Five Fridays. I have been following this newsletter and she has some amazing content she keeps publishing on this newsletter. In this newsletter, Collins shares timely insights into the trends and challenges shaping the legal industry, reflecting her deep commitment to innovation and quality in legal services. And one another aspect of Colin is that before joining lawyer.com team, Colin actually ran a celebrity networking company called popstar.com, a subsidiary now of World Media Group. Colin's leadership at lawyer.com has positioned her at the forefront of digital transformation in the legal space. Brings us to today's focus, exploring how AI is beginning to impact the legal field. Please join me in welcoming Colleen Joyce. Thank you so much, Colin, for doing this.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited to have a good conversation.
Yeah, yeah. So, Colin, let's start with can you share with us your journey to becoming the CEO at lawyer.com and how your experience have shaped your vision for the company?
Yeah, sure. We started lawyer.com about 12 years ago. We had a very small team and we put a directory up thinking that the internet really wanted to be free. Nobody was paying for listings at that time. So it was very interesting that not only were lawyers calling us to say, hey, how can I get listed? We also had consumers calling saying, hey, I need a lawyer. Can you help me? So we had this natural brand, lawyer.com, and the evolution was also very natural because all of a sudden the consumer called, the lawyer called, and then we just stood in the middle saying, okay, we can now become the best matching agents by putting these two parties together. And that's really been the driving force of what we've been doing for the last 10 plus years.
Amazing, yeah. I also follow your newsletter, Fast Five Fridays, and it offers valuable perspective on legal industry trends. Can you tell us what are some of the key shifts you have observed in the market that have
Sure.
influenced your strategic priorities?
Yeah, so obviously, what everybody's here to talk about is AI. I think there's a couple things happening right now in legal. You have the biggies are getting bigger, is what we say. The Morgan and Morgans are rolling up law firms. You have a lot of private equity coming in and looking for very well run law firms. And then you have law firms that are just fighting to stay ahead and stay in business. So using the technologies and finding that right partner to work with is really kind of what's shifting and changing right now that may not have been there 5, 10 years ago. So when we talk about AI, I was just at a conference last week at MTMP, and a lot of the lawyers were like, every session was about AI, and it was the threat. If you're not using AI, your competitors are, and you're going to be out of business. And every lawyer I talked to, and myself included, I was like, okay, great, I understand that, right? But what next? What does that mean? What is it that I should be using? And how is it going to help my firm? Because a lot of people are talking about screaming from the rooftops, right? Don't ride the wave, ride the wave. Okay, great. How? And a big part of what we're trying to do is answer that how. We don't have a skin in the game. We're just purely from an educational standpoint. Hey, this platform will help you do Y. This platform will help you do X. But I think somebody really has to explain the how because there's a lot of competition out there. I mean, I'm sure you see it day in and day out. It's a new AI companies popping up, a new
Absolutely.
technology. It's impossible to stay current.
Yep, yep. We see that every day. So yeah. So one of the aspect of AI or one area of AI that is kind of gaining popularity is AI agents. So that are increasingly discussed as game changers in legal services. How would you describe the current state of AI integration into legal industry? Are people adapting to AI or AI agents? They're using it on a day-to-day basis.
So I think that you have, and it's funny, we do AI webinars. So we're talking and interacting with lawyers. So we're getting this feedback. Lawyers are using ChatGPT, Gemini, Gronk, whatever the AI platform, they're using that. They're using whether it be EvenUp, like Eve, right, demand software. So they're very comfortable with the technology that's out there. AI agents is this new concept, right? That I think that we have to do a better job of educating the lawyers, but also giving them, hey, try this. The AI platforms for demand writing or for research or for contract writing, they've really adopted to that type of AI because it's been very clear. This is what you should do. This is the output, right? But AI sales agents or any kind of agents, right? This is all new. So I don't know, obviously there will be lawyers that are already writing and using their own agents, but from a mainstream perspective, I
Mhm.
don't think we're there yet. But 6 months from now, we should be there.
Yeah. One area that we see, especially from your domain, is using AI for legal research. So, in what ways do you see AI agents enhancing legal research? If you have done some study on that, and what benefits might this bring to lawyers and their clients?
Well, I think information is power, any way you look at it. And if you give somebody access to information, you're giving them access to
Yeah.
justice.
Yeah.
Lawyers want vetted clients. Clients want to understand what that means. This AI research, right? This new technology can help bridge that gap. I don't know what kind of lawyer I need, or I don't know if this is really a case, right? And AI can kind of help sift through a lot of that. So when the client gets to the lawyer, they're ready to hire. And that's, you know, time is money kind of.
Yep. Yep. And in your field, and especially in the legal services, one concern that most of the people have is about data privacy and security, right? What are some of the challenges law firms face when adopting AI technology, especially regarding data privacy, security, and ethical considerations, which is of importance here?
I mean, that's a very, very big issue for attorneys. And when we first started talking about ChatGPT, we would say, hey, listen, go in and make sure you're using John Doe, right?
Mhm.
Don't put in the full name. So, what a lot of opportunities came from that is they have very secure platforms that lawyers are using specifically for research. So, for example, Westlaw has a product, Lexis has a product for research that's closed and secure. So while ChatGPT or Gemini, they're all there, they're free, they're not giving you that level of security that you would get with a platform specific.
Yep.
But it's free. So that's always the benefit.
Yep. Yep. Yeah, along with data privacy and security, the other area for lawyers is probably the regulatory implications. So, from your standpoint, what regulatory or compliance issues should legal professionals consider when implementing AI agents into their practice, if any?
It was interesting. We actually just saw yesterday they have every state has different AI laws, and some states are more conservative than other states. So, the best advice to lawyers is really talk to your bar to understand what your regulations are. Because it's great to be out there and try everything, and we encourage that 100%. But you
Mhm.
want to make sure that you're in line and in compliance because every state is going to be different.
Yep, yep, definitely. So, Colin, what are some of the adoption barriers that you see for firms that are new to AI? What do you believe are the main barriers to adoption, and how can these be overcome?
I think we experience it too. First of all, there's so much competition out there. How do you know which platform is best for your firm? And then how do you, without a big technical team, how do you incorporate that, right? Because a lot of law firms don't have a big tech team, right? So, okay, great. I want all this AI, but what does that integration look like? So that's
Correct.
like what we were saying about Good Gist. It's great that it doesn't need any technical connections, right? Because
Absolutely.
that right there, that's a big barrier to entry. We need to make it very easy, safe, and secure so that the lawyer can say, okay, great, I'm going to try this. Because we encourage lawyers to try all the different platforms to find out what works.
Mhm.
Because what works for you may not work for me, and that's fine, right? You've got to try everything, but it needs to be easy. And I think that's one of the biggest things out there.
Absolutely. Yeah. That's a great insight, Colin. Let's talk about lawyer.com and your journey with lawyer.com now. You have been with lawyer.com for over a decade. What's one thing about the legal industry that surprised you most over the years.
That it's fun. So I came from a world of entertainment.
I
I
know.
was celebrity interviews, red carpet events, press junkets, and I thought, okay, going to legal, this is going to just like kill the buzz kind of
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
But surprisingly, it is not. It has been very exciting and very fulfilling. So while I'm not on the red carpet, talking to these lawyers make me feel like I'm still on the red carpet with them.
Yep, yep. But I think you are still on the red carpet because you helped bring Lindsay Lohan as a spokesperson,
I did.
for lawyer.com. What is the strategy behind that decision, and how did it shape lawyer.com's brand?
Sure. So again, we're always trying to test and do new things. We act as a startup, right? We grind day in and day out, and we look around and we try to find new opportunities that would make us stand out. We had the privilege of getting an introduction to Lindsay. Lindsay's been in the entertainment industry since she was 2. So who else better to be dealing with business, dealing with attorneys? And it was a great opportunity for us. It gave us great exposure, and she really helped elevate us. And we learned a lot from her throughout our time working together.
Absolutely, and that's, I think, a great move.
Yeah.
When I was reading about you, notice this. This is a new thing for me. You talk about the Funberg gratitude curve, and I think that really resonates with you. Can you tell us more about it? How do you think lawyers can better manage the emotional roller coaster of client relationships?
Yeah, the client. So this is really interesting. This was published like 90 something years ago, right? So it's absolutely amazing that what happened 90 years ago in human behavior is still the same.
Mhm.
So client journey is so important when you're working really with any industry, right? You have a client that's going to start with you. You need to take them from start to end and make sure that they're happy and they're feeling heard throughout the whole journey. So a lot of the curve is okay, right away people are happy because you answer them. And then they feel like, okay, maybe you're getting distracted and not paying attention to me. And then, okay, now I hate you. You're the worst lawyer ever. Or you didn't give me the result that I thought I deserved. So a lot of the client journey is keeping the communication. And there's so many platforms out there that would allow that. Actually, I met with an attorney last week, and at the 90-day mark, his dad is a makes custom charcuterie boards out of wood, and he sends them to the client. And it's just those little touches, right? Keeping an email saying, hey, happy Mother's Day, happy Father's Day. Those little touches make such a big difference when you're
Absolutely.
going through the life cycle of the client journey. And that's so, so important. And it's so interesting to see that it really hasn't changed in 100 years.
Absolutely. I think that's a very important point that you bring up. And that brings me to the next question. You have talked about marketing ROI and importance of tracking it. What are some of the underrated metrics that you can think of that the firms generally overlook?
Yeah, so we're big scoreboard fans here. I think I probably manage like 5 scoreboards a day. And it's you need to understand how you're generating traffic and what's happening. Kind of similar to the life cycle, right? When somebody calls you, what does that journey look like? When someone clicks on your website, what does that look like? It's really hard to say one piece of data is more important than other because they all correlate to themselves. If you want to spend more money to get more clients, our best suggestion is to look under the hood first. What is that low lying fruit? Before you go out and spend more money, chances are you could probably optimize what you're doing. And then once you have a better process and automation, then you go.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. It resonates with me.
Yeah. We're the same way. I mean, we have to eat our own dog food on all of this. So,
Absolutely.
but it transcends into every, it's not just a legal vertical issue, it's everywhere.
Yep. Absolutely. Yeah, going back to AI questions again. I think, and correct me if I'm wrong. I think I read somewhere your team mentioned that AI could help unlock an extra $100,000 in billable time per lawyer every year. What specific workflows or tools have you seen actually deliver on that on that promise, or in general, what are the use cases where which can deliver on that promise?
Sure. So there's a lot of great platforms. You provide a service to the consumer pays for the service. If the consumer does not pay for the service, what happens, right?
Hmm.
So there's two things when we talk about billing. It's how the lawyer could use platforms and use AI to bill smarter and better. And then how to use AI to make sure that your AR is actually going in the right direction. So when we talk about consumers paying, again, there's automation. There's a great platform called Budhala that we've seen. They're owned by Onnit. And what they do is, again, it's nothing new. When we talk about AI, and you know this as well,
Yeah,
automation has been around forever.
absolutely.
We're talking about AI is just the little cherry on top that's connecting things. But a lot of process means you need to have automation. So when you're talking billing, and when you're talking receivables, you need a process, you need to automate the process, and then you need to figure out how you can use AI to take that automation to the next level. And
Hmm.
it's going to be very dependent on practice area, on location, and firm needs.
Absolutely. And when we see this change that the AI is bringing onto the workforce, not only in legal but in any workforce, right? In taking legal into considerations, as AI becomes more prevalent, how do you see the role of legal professionals evolving? Is there going to be a significant change? What skills should they develop to complement these technologies?
Yeah, that's a
Do you
great
see a
question.
kind of big change coming up in the legal profession?
I think a couple things. One is what we tell lawyers is AI is not going to replace you. AI is a toolkit in your tool belt that you should be utilizing. In law school, I know there's a law school in Boston, Suffolk Law School. They're actually teaching AI. And that's so important, right? AI is nothing, AI is a new technology that we need to make part of our everyday, right? Just like email, right? Okay, now we all email. Now it's like, okay, we don't even think about it because it's so second nature. That's what's going to be AI. It will not replace an attorney. It will make them more efficient so that they can get more thing, they can get through more work, or they can do it better or more efficiently. And at the end of the day, the consumer is going to benefit because they have technology on their side.
Absolutely. I think it resonates. What I believe is, AI is not going to replace your job, but someone who learns this technology will probably replace your job if you don't get adapted.
100%. That's such a great way to look at it. AI will not replace you. The person who is adapted to AI
Yeah,
will replace you. 100% agree. That I love
absolutely.
that.
So, what advice do you have? Sorry.
I said we're going to steal that.
Yep.
We'll give you credit.
Absolutely. So, what advice would you offer to law firms and legal tech and innovators looking into integrate AI agents or, in general, AI into their operations, based on your experience and observations from the industry?
I think baby step it, because if you go into your meeting, you're like, we're going to adapt AI, it's going to be overwhelming. It's going to lose the room, right? So find one area that you can use AI. So, for example, if you're a personal injury attorney, go and look at what AI platform can I use to write demand letters. Get comfortable with that. Get the team comfortable using that. Then, okay, we were talking about email agents, AI agents. Okay, we all are inundated with emails
Yep.
every day. You said it best. Okay, great. How can a AI agent help us better manage our email? What does that look like, right? That, and then you just take it bit by bit until you kind of 6 months get that high level view and you're like, wow, okay, we're using a lot of AI here. That's great.
Yep. Absolutely. When I was, kind of doing a research on you, was, looking at you, um, what first, I mean, I spend a lot of time on your newsletter. I think that is for anybody who is in this industry, I would recommend that, and I think you publish it every Friday.
Every Friday. Yep.
So I would definitely recommend, I will follow that newsletter and I will
Thank
get
you.
insights from there. So what prompted you to get started on that? I mean, that is an incredible piece of information that you share. every Friday, and it's so realistic, so practical. It's not based on theory. I mean, whatever I was able to read, it's basically
Right.
from real world experience. So, what
Right.
motivated you to kind of start that?
We've tried like the LinkedIn posts,
Hmm.
right? And it's like, it didn't feel authentic. We do in at lawyer.com every month, myself and the head of marketing, we do our own internal newsletter. And we have so much fun doing that. It's so stressful because of course we wait to the last possible minute, but okay, we have so much fun. And then we thought, well, listen, we've got a lot of fun things to talk about. What if we started kind of a newsletter that went out to the community? And we, like you said, we've had great, it's been met with great feedback. And it gives us an opportunity to push ourselves to learn more. I find myself reading more, researching more, just so that I could stay on top of what's going on, so that then I can communicate that to other people.
Absolutely. And I think, when I was looking at the number of lawyers and the customers those lawyers, you have in lawyer.com platform, I mean, it probably runs into millions. And that's a great piece of information that everybody can get benefited from.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Well, yeah, it was great talking to you, Colin.
Thank you
Learned a
so much.
lot from your journey as well as, from the inside. And thank you so much again for joining this call.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.